Band of Brothers is not really one man's war story. It is the story of a whole company of young paratroopers who train together, jump into France together, and slowly learn that surviving is not the same as coming home unchanged. This recap contains major spoilers for the complete 10-part miniseries. Before the invasion, Easy Company trains at Camp Toccoa under Captain Herbert Sobel. His favorite hill is called Currahee. The men run it again and again until the hill feels like a wall with a name. Sobel is strict, loud, and often seems more interested in catching tiny mistakes than teaching soldiers how to fight. The men hate him, but the training turns strangers into a unit that can move, carry, and suffer together. Lieutenant Richard Winters becomes the calm opposite of Sobel. He does not need to shout every second. He notices people, he remembers names. When Sobel tries to punish him unfairly, Winters pushes back through the rules instead of through a fistfight. Soon several officers ask to be transferred rather than serve under Sobel in combat. It is dangerous to challenge an officer, but the company believes bad leadership could get them killed. Then the world changes. It is June 1944. Easy Company boards planes for D-Day. The jump into Normandy is chaos. Anti-aircraft fire shakes the sky. Men land far from their planned drop zones, lose equipment, and search through dark hedges for anyone wearing the same patch. Winters lands without his weapon, but he starts gathering small groups anyway. Nobody knows exactly where everyone is. Nobody has a full map. They only know that the invasion has begun. Their first important mission is at Brecourt Manor. German guns are firing toward the beaches where Allied troops are landing. Winters leads a small group through trenches and takes the battery piece by piece. The scene is not about a perfect superhero plan. It is about frightened men doing one hard task, then the next hard task, because waiting would be worse. The guns stop. A small group has changed something much bigger than itself. Easy Company fights through Normandy and reaches Carentan, where the streets are close, confusing, and deadly. Private Albert Blythe freezes under fire and feels ashamed of it. Winters tells him fear is not proof that he is broken. The trick is to recognize it and keep going. The show never pretends every soldier becomes fearless. It says courage can look like being terrified and still taking one more step. The company next takes part in Operation Market Garden in the Netherlands. The plan is bold. Airborne troops will seize bridges while ground forces race up one long road to meet them. Easy lands near Eindhoven and moves through farmland, ditches, and small villages. At first, Dutch civilians greet them with flowers, bicycles, flags, and tears. For soldiers who have only seen mud and gunfire, the welcome feels like a glimpse of what liberation means. But the plan does not unfold as neatly as it looked on a map. The road is too narrow. German resistance keeps cutting it. The final bridge at Arnhem cannot be held. Easy Company wins ground and helps secure parts of the route, but the larger operation falls short of its biggest goal. The men learn another cruel lesson. Bravery can be real, sacrifice can be real, and a battle can still end in failure. During this period, Sergeant Carwood Lipton becomes one of the quiet centers of the company. He is not the loudest man in the room. He watches who is hungry, who is shaken, and who needs a steady word. When officers are killed or moved, Lipton keeps ordinary soldiers from falling apart. The show makes leadership look less like standing on a hill with a dramatic speech, and more like carrying a message through mud because everyone needs to know what happens next. Winters is promoted, which means he spends more time planning from a command post and less time beside the men he knows best. It is a strange reward. He has earned responsibility, but responsibility puts distance between him and the friends he wants to protect. Lieutenant Lewis Nixon, Winters' closest friend, is struggling in a different way. He drinks heavily and watches the war grind down people around him. Their friendship is never a neat speech about loyalty. It is mostly two tired men making sure the other one is still there. After Normandy, the company returns to England. For a moment they have warm food, clean clothes, and the strange feeling that the war might be nearly over. But the men know they are not finished. They get new officers, they lose old friends, promotions change who gives orders but not who carries the memories. Then winter arrives with another surprise. The Germans have launched a huge attack in the Ardennes. Easy is rushed to Bastogne, Belgium with little winter equipment. Snow covers everything. The men dig foxholes in frozen ground and wait in trees while artillery tears the forest apart. They are short on ammunition, food, blankets, and hope. The cold is almost another enemy. A soldier can survive a battle and still lose his feet to frostbite. Medics work in cellars with too little medicine. The company begins to understand that war does not always arrive as one dramatic charge. Sometimes it is just hunger, ice, and the sound of shells that never quite stops. Lieutenant Norman Dyke is now in command, and he keeps disappearing when the men need him. During an attack on Foy, the company stalls in an open field. Soldiers are pinned down. Dyke seems unable to act. Winters sends Lieutenant Ronald Spares to take over. Spares runs through the fire, reaches the men, and starts giving simple, clear orders. The attack moves again. The moment makes one thing painfully clear: rank by itself does not make a leader. A leader has to be present when everyone else is scared. Bastogne is eventually relieved, but relief does not erase what happened there. The men move on with fewer friends than before. Some have become officers. Some have become quieter. Some have learned to joke at exactly the wrong moment because jokes are the only small shield they have left. The company is still called Easy, but nothing about the war is easy now. In the town of Haguenau, Easy is ordered to hold positions near the German border. The fighting becomes smaller and somehow more personal. Patrols cross a river at night. A replacement officer, Lieutenant Henry Jones, arrives full of theories and ambition, then learns what combat actually feels like when artillery begins. Sergeant Martin shows him how to survive 1 hour at a time. The series is gentle with Jones, but it does not flatter him. Knowing every answer in training is different from hearing a shell land close enough to shake the floor. By now, the company has a rhythm that outsiders cannot see. One man checks another man's boots. Someone shares cigarettes. Someone remembers an absent friend by using his nickname. Sometimes they complain about officers. Sometimes they complain about food. These tiny habits are not filler. They are the fragile ropes keeping people connected while the world keeps trying to pull them apart. As they enter Germany, they find a concentration camp. The prisoners are starving. The guards are gone. For the soldiers, it is a different kind of shock. Until then, much of the war has been maps, orders, patrols, and enemy fire. Here they see what the war has done to people who could not fight back. Winters orders the nearby town to help bury the dead and witness what happened. The scene is quiet because there is no brave speech big enough for it. Soon after, Adolf Hitler is dead and Germany surrenders. For many men, this should be the happy ending. But Easy Company is sent to Austria, where they occupy the town near Hitler's mountain retreat. They find fine homes, food, and beautiful views. It feels almost absurd after frozen foxholes. Some soldiers imagine they might be sent to the Pacific next. Others fear the war will simply change places and start all over again. Then comes the news they have been waiting for. Japan has surrendered too. The war is finally over. The men do not all cheer in the same way. Some laugh, some sit down, some seem unable to react at all. They have spent years learning how to stay alive until tomorrow. Now tomorrow is suddenly open. The final episode follows the men as they prepare to go home. Some officers stay in the army. Others return to ordinary jobs that now sound almost unbelievable. Teacher, salesman, construction worker, father. Private David Webster, who had missed the worst months while recovering in a hospital, returns to a company that has changed without him. He tries to reconnect, but shared history is not something a person can simply catch up on later. Winters looks back on the men he commanded and remembers a friend telling him that he had not been a hero, but he had served in a company of heroes. That is the heart of Band of Brothers. It does not say every choice was clean or every man was perfect. It says people can be frightened, stubborn, tired, angry, and still protect each other. The company began with a hill called Currahee. They ran it as punishment. By the end, the hill has become a memory of the time before everything changed. They went into war as a group of young men who barely knew one another. They came out carrying the names of people who never got to come home. And that is why the story stays with people. It is not only about winning battles. It is about the person beside you in the cold, the hand that pulls you up, and the promise to remember someone when they cannot speak for themselves.